the Toronto Raptors are still cooking. They are now, 26-10 this season. Their best start in franchise history through 36 games in a season. Dwayne Casey is your coach of the month for December. But again, it comes down to one man and one man only lately. Demar Derozan. Webby, after 52 points, 35 points, back-to-back games, has DeMar taken the leap to being a superstar?
DeMar 3 Rosen. I hope it's here to stay, man. How long have we been having... It seems like even when we were back at the Score, we've been having this same conversation about DeMar. If he can just find his three-point stroke, he could be one of the top. He's already one of the top scorers in the league without making a three-pointer. But if he can open it up, find that range, really start knocking down those triples, oh, man. It would take his game, and it would take the Raptors. More importantly, it would take the Raptors to a different level, because then you're not just putting all of your three-point hopes on Kyle Lowry and CJ Miles, you know?
Oh, definitely. And the most amazing thing that you just said, Webby, was that he's already been one of the top scorers in the league without a three-point shot, which kind of makes no sense, right? That makes no sense in today's NBA. And yet that's what he was able to do this year. And now he's just shooting it with confidence. He's made 10 threes over his last 2 games. Like, DeMar DeRozan hitting 5 threes in a game, like that just doesn't even seem like real life, right? That doesn't seem like real life. Imagine going back a couple years ago, and if someone tried to tell you DeMar DeRozan would have back-to-back games where he's hit 5 3-pointers. Like, what? That's crazy.
Listen, we get hyped up when he'd hit 1 or 2.
Yes. Last night, too, he hit one, and he sort of ran back doing the mellow, pointing the three.
The 3-point thing, yeah.
Yes. I mean, it's so good. And it's crazy to think that he already has more threes this season than he's had all of last year. Like, what?
It's wild. But the other thing is, too, it's funny that this conversation has started again, because it's almost like the rest of the NBA is listening to the Ball on Blast podcast.
Okay.
Because just a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about who is the greatest Raptor of all time.
Yes, it's very true. It's very true.
And now with the scoring record, the single game franchise scoring record, taking the team as deep as they've ever gotten into the playoffs, being a draft pick, never leaving, and being the undisputed leader of this team, even though, listen, Kyle is right up there too, but DeMar is a quiet locker room leader. I think you got to say that he's the best Raptor of all time.
Do you know what, Webby? When we had this conversation, you were saying that, and I was still on the Vince train. And I have to admit that what I'm seeing from DeMar DeRozan this season, and I know that ultimately this Raptors team will be judged by what happens in the playoffs. No doubt about that. That still holds true. But what DeMar has done this year in improving his game, not only adding the three-point shot, but he's also averaging 5 assists per game, which is pretty crazy, right? I'm pretty sure he's either top 1 or 2 in the league in terms of shooting guards with assists, right? So what this guy is doing, he's done it again, where he just continues to improve in each and every season that he's played in the NBA. And so, I mean, it's getting harder and harder to pick on anything in this guy's game. And, maybe his defense still lacks, but I think the overall team defense has something that he fits into, and he's doing a much better job than in years past, where I think that, they would have to like hide him on defense. I don't think that's a thing that happens nearly as much anymore.
He is getting better, but he's still kind of getting torched.
He is, but it's not as horrible as what I'm saying, right? And like the one thing, Webby, I don't know if you heard this today, but Alvin Williams came out today.
Our boy.
Yes, and Alvin Williams said that he thinks DeMar DeRozan is now the best player in franchise history. I think having that cosign.
Hey, he's a smart guy. He went to Villanova. What can I say?
Right? But I mean, here's a guy that's seen the highs and lows of this Toronto Raptors organization, played alongside Vince, obviously as a member of the media is covered and seen DeMar DeRozan's career. Who am I to argue with Alvin Williams? If Alvin Williams is going to tell me that DeMar DeRozan is the best Raptor of all time, who am I to argue with Alvin Williams? I can't argue with that.
It just goes to show me that Alvin Williams is a fan of the Ball on Blast podcast.
We'll take it, right? Well, we also say our second home, right, other than Toronto, is what? Philly? Where's Alvin Williams from?
Hey, listen, he's a good Philadelphia kid, all right? It stayed in the 215 to go to school as well. Remember the Villanova Wildcats. Listen, just like Larry, too, brings that hard-nosed style to the hardcore.
I love it. But the
now,
Raptors,
hold on. Before we got to bring up Dwayne Casey again.
Yes. Yeah.
Because winning this Coach of the, was it week or the month?
Coach of the month for December.
Listen, if the Raptors keep this up, which they totally could, I could see. Now, I don't think Dwayne Casey's going to win Coach of the Year, but I could see him being one of the three finalists.
My dude, if they finish first in the East, right?
Oh, if they finish first in the East, for sure.
Because the other thing too, right? You got to think of the way that the media is going now, right? And I think the media is a lot more like stats heavy and stats driven, and to for lack of a better term, the basketball nerds are kind of like taking over, which means like there's a lot more focus on things like, you know, point differential and top 5 defense, top 5 offense. And, you know, just to see those numbers and how the numbers back up the Raptors completely changing their style of play from one season to the next, and then seeing that growth with the team and making the leap to win the conference. I think if that happens, Dwayne Casey would have a serious push behind him to win the Coach of the Year award. And it'd be definitely well-deserved, because that's a difficult thing to do, to completely change the style of play of your team and, you know, to change the way and to get your guys to buy in, whether it's DeMar, whether it's Kyle, whose shooting numbers are down, like his scoring numbers are down, but the team is still successful, but he's going to be fresher come the end of the year. And, you know, the way that this has worked, you got to give mad credit to Dwayne Casey for getting everyone to buy in.
And we've seen him, especially kind of living and working in Toronto and following the Raptors, we've seen him go from, you know, an okay coach to, I mean, I thought a couple of years ago they should have let him go. Because I think after the Brooklyn series, after the Wizards series, after they got swept, I thought, well, listen, Dwayne Casey, we've rode this ride as long as we can. I think it's time to get off. But man, has Masai in the organization stuck with this guy and saw something in him that a lot of the fans, a lot of the writers didn't see, and it's really paying off. I mean, he knows how to coach this team. He knows the identity of this team, and he knows what it takes to get this team to be really successful. And I'll tell you, if they do, which they can, I know nobody else is talking about it in the rest of the basketball world, but the Raptors have a chance to win the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. And if they do, I think that Dwayne Casey should be Coach of the Year.
So there's a flip side to this whole conversation about, you know, how good of a start the Toronto Raptors are up to, Webby. And I'd love to get your take on this, because the naysayers will point out that the Raptors are, I think, 6-8 versus teams that are above 500. So their schedule early on, not that it was easy, because there were a lot of like tough road trips and stuff going on early on in the season for the Raps, but definitely you're going to start to see a wave of better competition coming up. But on the plus side, a lot of them are home games. So their upcoming sched, you got Milwaukee on Friday, Brooklyn, then you got a run at home of Miami, Cleveland, and Golden State. So I mean, that will be a real test for the Raptors to see where they're at. Because I don't even think that it's about wins and losses. I think it's how you look in these games. And I was really disappointed with the OKC game, not so much because they lost, but how they lost, right? Yeah.
I'm not one for these moral victories.
Yeah.
You know, but the Oklahoma City one was tough. But those Western Conference games, man, those are a tough slog. But I'll tell you, you're right. that stretch of Miami, Cleveland, Golden State, and home, those will be not only games to watch, that'll be really entertaining, but they'll be that'll show you the mettle of this team.
Yeah, huge game to look forward to. Golden State, and especially that Cleveland game next Thursday. It's a TNT game for all you
even
Raptor
the Miami
fans.
Game is going to be good.
Yeah, Miami game will be good. That Cleveland game, though, is a TNT game for all those Raptor fans that were crying about not having a Christmas Day game. And
are you serious? That's a TNT game? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a TNT game next Thursday, that Cleveland Cavaliers game.
In Toronto or in Toronto, right?
It's in Toronto, yeah. In Toronto.
Okay.
Massive, massive game. And, this stretch coming up, like this month, I think it's like a 2-week run that the Raptors will be a real test for them. And we'll get a really good gauge of where do they really stand in the Eastern Conference? Can they compete in is it conference finals or bust? I think you'll really start to find out these things. And the one thing I will say about Demar Derozan, as great, he showed me a lot with that 52-point game, but the thing that I was more impressed with was the fact that how he came out. I think he had 21 in the first quarter. He came out okay, I'm a star. This is a big time game. I'm here. What I want to see from DeMar is I want to see you have that same energy next week when you're facing LeBron and when you're facing the Warriors. And I'm not saying that he's going to win or that he's better than those guys. I'm just saying come out with a purpose from Jump Street. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Get a good start. Come out, show out. And like I say, that's a tough stretch. It's going to be some good basketball, but a great place to put yourself on the national stage if you're DeMar DeRozan and show people all over the world, all over North America, what the Raptors can do.
Yes, great times for the Raptors. There's just one weird story that came out while we were off.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And
I totally forgot about this.
I just want to get your take on it because Serge Ibaka was suspended for one game. And there wasn't much information that came out surrounding this. And it's one of those times where I wished we were in a different market like New York, because we would definitely find out exactly what happened.
No, that's right.
Serge Ibaka was suspended the suspension resulted from an altercation between Ibaka and a Raptors staff member after the December 27th game in Oklahoma City. So I want to ask you, Webby, obviously we don't know. Nothing comes out, and I want to say this too. This is not a knock because I understand that most of the people that cover the team are employees of the team. So I understand why, it's a little harder for some of these things to get out there. Totally understand that. But if we were going to play a little to steal something from Mr. Lebitard, their reckless speculation game here, who the hell do you think Serge Ibaka was trying to fight?
Hopefully Matt Devlin. Just hopefully.
I wrote
that's
down
who he was
because
going after. But I like your because your reckless speculation holds a lot more water than mine. And it was the first time I heard this, and it got my wheels turning. Oh boy, I bet that's right.
So my thing was, and I sent this text message as soon as this happened, because obviously the text messages start blowing up and got multiple chat groups, and a bunch of my boys I grew up with. We sent a text message because we're East End guys, right? And so happens to be another Raptors assistant coach. I'm not sure what his exact title is, but Jamal McGlure. He's an East End dude. He's a big guy. He's the big cat. He's a fiery guy. And,
NBA All-Star Jamal McGlure.
Right? Put some respect on his name, right? And it was just funny because we were joking around yo, I really hope for Serge's sake he didn't try McGlure because he does not want those problems, right?
Yo, Serge Ibaka is from the jungles of Africa, and he does not want any part of Scarbreezy.
No, he does not want anything from Flemington Park's Jamal McGlure, right? You do not want those problems. And it was just funny because, again, we don't know what happened, and we're just joking around through text, and it's just I really hope he didn't try Big Jam because, that is not a fight you want, Serge Ibaka. It's amazing. But, again, hopefully at some point we find out what happened, maybe after the season or some time passes. I don't know.
If Stack was still assistant coach of the team rather than coaching in the G League and this happened, Serge Ibaka would be out for way more than just one day. He'd be out for two weeks with a broken jaw for sure.
Yes, for all our young listeners out there that might not be familiar with the resume of Jerry Stackhouse, just get on YouTube and, as the kids might say, get your Googles up if you want to know Jerry Stackhouse's
do
resume.
not fucks with Jerry Stackhouse.